It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso as we make our way through the final hour of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a great start to the week. It's going to get really interesting now as we broach the workplace, the ever-evolving workplace. The changing nature of corporates and the surrounding environments in which they have to operate means that businesses need to rethink constantly what they can limit and how they can cripple themselves, their strategies and practices in this evolving space. And one of the ways in which this can be done is implementing intergenerational cohesion in the workplace. We're thinking of blending. So for the first time in recorded history, we find 5 different generations inhabiting the corporate space at the same time. That is amazing. So today we are asking, what is generational blending? First of all, why is it so important to incorporate it into your corporate workplace? And this morning, behavioural alchemist, it sounds cool, and a generation blender herself, Alison Godenir, now joins Expresso to discuss the topic, and we'd love to hear your questions, your comments as well. You can let us know on our Facebook page. Maybe you're in a cohesive workspace at the moment with more than one generation. 5 generations, Alison.
5 generations, yeah.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So maybe let's start at the beginning with the why, and why corporates, why companies, businesses need to evolve and start to incorporate all generations. Why do we need to evolve with the environment we work in?
Okay. So honestly, Graham, for me, it's survival. Okay, and you don't just want to be surviving for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You also want to be thriving.
Future-proofing, yeah.
Absolutely. It's about future-proofing, and it's all about evolution. So think about it. If you're not evolving, by definition, you're devolving. Okay, and what's the end state of devolution? It's death. So you look at organizations that have died. I mean, it's the Kodaks of the world, I mean, there's enough of them.
This is quite, when a company has been doing well, because remember, it's one thing to look at the culture within a company. It's another thing when you're looking at operational systems and financial systems and HR practices, things that have been working for a very long time.
Yep.
How daunting is it for the companies that you engage with? Why is it such a difficult thing to broach? And how scary can it be to now start to change?
Mega scary. I promise you, it's mega scary. Why? Because really what we're saying, and especially with these new generations coming along, you need to get out of those swim lanes. You need to get out of that sort of linear swim lane that you've been in for decades, and you need to start shifting, leaping into quantum or into infinite ways of doing business. And these are, I mean, that's just not a paradigm that organizations know. So it's mega scary. I mean, we understand that. But the point is, you've got to shift. You don't shift, you're not relevant.
I'm glad you mentioned relevant, because there is a big... I've worked with companies looking to make themselves more relevant within the market, for instance, within the millennial space.
Yes.
And dealing with, in my kind of, very limited understanding now, with a market that doesn't care about your advertising.
Yeah.
So now, how do you tell a company that is used to the reality, he who spends the most wins in that game? Now that's changing. So when you look at the workplace itself, how do you benefit from making those changes? What are some of the key standouts when you go and motivate for someone to make that shift? What do you win when you start to evolve?
Well, you just win, the ability to become way more creative, way more innovative. And even innovation is an old word. Actually, for me, the word is revolutionizing. Okay,
I love that.
It's not just being disruptive anymore. You've got to even step out of disruption and move into being revolutionary organizations, because, I mean, it's chaos out there, right? So you have to navigate the chaos. And who are the navigators? It's the Gen Zs and it's the millennials. So, and that ocean is turbulent. It's massively turbulent. So if you don't have these guys on board, you ain't going to navigate,
And we were laughing off here before the discussion. You can wish for a different reality, but this is what it is.
It is.
So if you want to be successful, you've got to make those adjustments. Thank you so much for that. We're going to continue this very interesting discussion. As I said, put some questions up, maybe some comments, some observations on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. What is generational blending? Why is it so important to incorporate it into the workplace right now? We'd love to hear any of your input as well. And we'll continue with our behavioural alchemist. I absolutely love that. Alison's going to stick around to field some of those questions in just a while.
It's my feel-good breakfast.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're live with Expresso. Just about half an hour left of the show to savor, and we're going to do it with continuing a really interesting discussion. It's Monday, so we are talking relationships, but with a bit of a spin today. We have a behavioural alchemist and generation blender, Alison Godenir, in the hot seat to help us discuss and unpack, if you will, the benefits of generational blending in the workplace. In fact, you've got to be doing it or you're going to fall behind. So we'd love to hear your questions, any comments that you have. You can let us know on our Facebook page. Let us know which generation you belong to, first of all, and what your workplace is like, and if you've got any questions. But Alison, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
Alison, it's such a fantastic conversation that we're having because we're seeing it everywhere. There's always a bit of tension going on, and I think that the younger generations in the corporate workforce, the millennials and the Generation Z, for example, they sometimes intensify the need for integration in the workplace. Why is that?
Okay, so think about their values, all right? So if you look at the millennial generation, it's all about collaboration. So if that is intrinsically who you are, it's innate, right? You want to collaborate. You want to be with your tribe. You want to be, bouncing and vibing with your tribe. And then you come to the Zs, and the Zs are also all about co-creation. Okay, that's their big thing. So, I've got to be with people to co-create, right? I can't just do it on my own. So it's the sort of innate values that these generations have that lead to intergenerational kind of
the need for the integration.
So beautiful, two very collaborative generations, yet you are now almost forcing a shift in many organizations and structures, which says to me immediately there is going to be conflict.
Yes.
There are going to be sparks. What are some of the negative repercussions for kind of maybe not going about the blending in the right way? And what is going to happen when you do start to change? Because people hate change. There will always be a resistance to it.
Yes, totally. So, and it's happening, right? I mean, in all the corporates that I co-create with, seriously, there is huge separation. No matter which way we want to spin this, there is separation. And when there's separation, then, it's divided. And one of the biggest things I find is frustration. Frustration, especially with the millennials. Millennials are mega frustrated. There's not many Zs in corporates at the moment. That's sort of 20 to 24.
Give it time.
They're arriving.
Give it time.
But they're massively frustrated. And here's the thing, guys. Frustration leads to disengagement. And we are sitting, we've got one of the worst stats in the world when it comes to employee engagement. We're sitting on 9% employee engagement, right? That's like the second worst stat globally. Now, so this is not about, okay, we're going to think about changing or we're going to think about shifting. And we're saying, guys, you've got to shift.
How would you judge employee engagement? What are the kind of standards that you would work with?
It's just people loving what they do. It's people wanting to get up and be in a space. It's happiness. I know this is so cliche, but seriously, it is. It's about saying, I love what I do. I'm making a difference. I'm making an impact. See, these two generations, the millennials and the Z, it's all about making an impact. Now, if you're an organization and you just focus on profit, okay, not going to be congruent. Really not going to be congruent. So, so really it's about making those impacts, and then, the profit comes. So it really is a shift in thinking.
So for a viewer sitting at home right now and so frustrated with feeling like there's no integration, that they're not connecting with the next generation that they happen to be working with, whether it's someone older feeling like, I really don't like and get these young people, or the young person going, the old people, they don't get us. What are some of the strategies and practices you think that corporates in our country should be adopting to be able to get the gen blending going?
So let's just say there's no right or wrong generation. Okay, let's just be absolutely clear on that. Every generation has unbelievable gifts. And the whole point of gen blending is to extrapolate those gifts, right? It's to sit down with the boomers, sit down with the Gen Xers and say, right, what are these amazing gifts that you bring? Okay, and let's blend them. It's like blockchaining. Okay, if you can see a graphic in your head of blockchaining. So you have all of these, amazing touch points, but they need to connect, right? And it's that connection that's really, really important. Gen blending is all about that. It's just about bringing all of these amazing gifts and elements and making magic in an organization. Big one, mentorship. Okay, so I don't like the word mentorship. I find it really old, and in the startups we talk about wizardry, okay? But it's not just, when you talk about wisdom of the ages, it's not just about the old generations. The younger generations have incredible
two-way
wisdom.
flow, yeah.
It's just different.
I want to talk about, expand on that exactly, because every generation also has a lot that needs to be improved, and it
Yes.
can be with the right kind of connections.
Yeah.
It's not to say just about getting the best out of your workforce, but you want to add, as you say, fulfillment in life.
Yes.
And other layers of engagement so that we do feel fulfilled, that we do feel happy, that we can actually live our best lives, as it were, in our job, not just outside of that it's one thing. So we're going to expand on that in just a moment. We've got Alison here to continue the chat for one more discussion. But as we said, if you've got any questions or comments, please put them up on our Expresso Morning Show Facebook page.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. It is your feel-good breakfast show. It's Expresso Live right here on SABC3 on this beautiful Monday, the 7th of October. Thank you so much for choosing to wake up on the right side of bed and waking up with us here on your feel-good breakfast show. We have such an incredible conversation going on. It's Monday, so that means relationships. And today we're talking to behavioral alchemist and generation blender Alison Godenir. She is in the hot seat to help us unpack and really discuss the benefits of generation blending in the workplace. And of course, we would love to hear from you. Those comments that are coming through fast and thick on Facebook, keep getting them through to us, Expresso Morning Show SABC3.
Yeah, we'll try to get on them if we can. I'm going to start with a question that's burning in my mind, because I've been researching a lot about our connection to social media, the fact that we are seeing, certainly within the millennials, and I kind of sit right on the cusp of that, that phase, but we've seen this kind of knee-jerk reaction to all of the social media, that there is a lack of fulfillment, that we need instant gratification, that every generation has something that they can learn. And obviously by placing everyone in this beautiful sharing space and activating that with an operational model, suddenly it can be a very powerful learning experience. What would you say are some of the key learnings that generations can share with each other in the current workspace?
Okay. So, I mean, just talking about this, the whole social media thing. So if we look at intelligences, okay, so EQ, for example, emotional intelligence, creative intelligence, sensory intelligence, right? One of the amazing things that I see happening, because millennials, with all due respect, don't have the EQ. They just don't. As a result of this addiction
to instant gratification.
Yeah, totally, and social media. So it's easy just to swipe left, swipe right, whatever. You can break up with somebody on WhatsApp and not feel it, okay? So when we do the gen blending, one of the amazing things I see is when the boomers, okay, come into contact with the millennials, and they are a generation of emotional intelligence, the boomers. So there's this beautiful kind of blending and learning that happens around what is EQ. How do I feel empathy? How do I show empathy? How did I navigate really difficult times in the workplace? That ability to persevere, that ability to be tenacious. Those are the things, and they're intangibles, right? You can't measure them, you can't. But when these generations start to talk, and this is absolutely key, it's just getting them round tables and having conversations and listening. Getting out of these swim lanes of, I'm right, I'm a boomer, I've been there, I've done it, or X is, in the same space. Just communicate, just share.
That's when real fulfillment happens. I love that.
Absolutely, and that connection starts. But what would you say from at a personal level, person-to-person level, are some of the negative impacts of when there is a lack of gen blending? So if I said, and I was working with a boomer, for example, and we just were battling to meet each other halfway, what are some of those negative impacts that we can expect to see?
Could it kill your company?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, it will. Okay, so it's this dissing, as they call it. It's like real. Well, I'm right and you're wrong. It's judgment. And I'm saying, get out of judgment. Just accept that all of these generations have amazing gifts and talents and skills. Right. So stop all the judgment. Come together, blend, just really kind of, it's magnetic what happens. I promise you. It's very hard. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
But organizations that are getting this right, I promise you, they're magnetic. It's like a frequency. It's like a vibe when you step into these organizations. It's amazing. But it's big shifts, right? We're saying no more hierarchies, guys.
Yeah.
no more pyramids, right?
Yeah.
Now that's tough. If you've been in an organization that's had a pyramid hierarchy for like decades, and suddenly you're saying, no, it's all about a holarchy now. You know?
The pushback.
Yeah.
I absolutely get what you're saying, because and thank you so much. I'm almost wish that I had a big organisation that I could invite you into to go and help us, Ben. But I think we are blessed by the fact that our industry has this multi-generational
Yes.
element to it. So our company,
absolutely.
as a natural manifestation, has this, and we experience it every day. So I really do feel what you're saying. Alison, thank you so much for sharing some very valuable insights with us. Hopefully that's inspired you, in particular if you are in a workspace. If you're a leader in a workspace, maybe a company owner, a director, to look at your own organization and how you can transform it, get the best out of it, amplify it by looking at a little bit of blending.